All right, and then here's another slide that you would just kind of do a review of what's the difference between the sequence, algorithm, and program. And we're moving on to the name poem. All right, so this is the first the big create project. So this is where they are starting from scratch, so to say, from scratch. So far, they have started with a project and they've modified a project both during the tip and see and the quest. And now they're going to be starting by going into Scratch, clicking create, and starting a whole new project on their own. So they're going to name it a name that makes sense, because remember, with the tip and see, the title is something that has to describe the project. They're going to put in instructions on how to run their project. They're going to put in a purpose as to what the project's about, and they're going to build their project. So we're going to start out. I'm going to give you an example. This is the name poem project. What it is you've got 5 sprites, or, well, it's going to depend on their name. So they're going to use their name or their nickname or a pet's name, and they're going to put these letters in. So they're going to pull letter sprites in from scratch. And their letters have, I think there's a couple, maybe 2 or 3 different versions of letters. There's not a lot, but remember, they can always go in and change the colors, because they can change that in vector mode when they're doing that. So they're going to use sprites, and they're going to use adjectives. So when you click on the letter is going to say an adjective that starts with the letter of their name. So D for delicious or delightful. And then they're going to add a background. So those are the 3 main things that they're going to do in the name poem. So I am going to show you this project. So we have name poem project, click the green flag, so instructions, then click each letter to see what it does. The purpose is to make fun animations of the letters in your name poem and make fun animations. Okay, so I click my green flag, and then it says click the letters. Daring, interesting, artistic, nice, and exciting. So in this project, we have sprites that not only say something, but they also move, and some of them also make a sound.
When you start off doing this, probably in the beginning, just do it normally, but then I would recommend having them use headphones, because after a while, the rooster, you will hear meows, and you will dream about meows. You will hear it all the time. So a good thing is, like, maybe have them wear headphones when they're ready to start, because it'll also make them focus a little more. But yeah, the sounds will drive you nuts.
I completely agree. And I think we did add that into the teacher's guide in certain points, because I had the same thing. I had I had 35 kids in my class, and it was crazy, all of the noises that were happening at the same time. Fortunately, I always had headphones on each computer, so they could just put the headphones on, and I wasn't having to listen to all of that. So this is what your students will see in their workbooks in order to plan for their new project, their create project. So we've got, these are the 2 pages that they have. They're going to describe their backdrop, and at the back of their workbook, of the student workbook, is a screenshot of every single backdrop. So they can go through and they can pick the backdrop and write down what the backdrop name is. So they don't have to just describe it and then hope that they find one. We've actually created a page that gives all the backdrops so that we have those. Then they're going to put in the letters of their name, their nickname, or another name, their pet's name, their team name, whatever they want. So they'll put those into these squares here. If they need a few more, they can add some squares. They're going to use when sprite clicked event block to start each sprite's actions. So they don't need to do anything in this line. This just reminds them that when they're building, because remember, each letter is its own separate sprite. So they'll have anywhere from 3 to 6 to 7 different sprites. So they'll build a script for each sprite, and each script will start with when sprite clicks. What will happen first? So they will choose an action that will happen first. It will move, change color, change size, play sound, rotate, or flip. So we've got the same actions happening just to make it simple so that they're not choosing a bunch of different actions. We've got one nice set of actions that they can choose for the sprites to do, for the letters to do. Then they're going to put in the adjective that starts with the letter in their name, and they're going to write that in this box, and then the second action. So each of those sprites, you might have noticed it when I ran it. When I clicked, it did an action, then it said the adjective, then it did another action. And that's what the project is going to be, is that their letters are going to action, say a word, and then action. The second part of the planning page, the planning guide, has code blocks so that they can actually they can build the code, the scripts here in their workbook before they build it in Scratch. It's just another helpful piece so that they have it all in front of them. Rather than writing it into the gray blocks, we suggest that they just draw arrows. So we give them all of the action blocks that align with the actions here. And then the say block is just written here. So they've got all the action blocks, and they can just draw an arrow from, so if I want for my first letter, for it to move a certain number of steps, I would just draw an arrow to say, I'm going to use move steps block. In the say think, they will write the adjective. So they'll actually write the adjective, and then I would put an arrow to the next block that I'd have the second action happening. This is going to be your assignment to do, is to complete the name poem planning guide in order to prepare to build your project. You just have to complete the name poem planning guide. I would say, if it's someone who is fairly quick with doing things, it would take maybe 10 to 15 minutes to complete. So we've given in the student workbook, we've given positive personality adjectives, so they don't have to guess for words if they don't know them. So we've got all sorts of adjectives that they can choose from A to Z, so that they can use for their planning guide. And then we have two videos. One is how to add and change a backdrop. And the second one is how to add and play sound, which you get a little bit of that. You got a little bit of that doing the quest with Rue and Hetty and Bunny. So you probably have a little bit, but it also gives some helpful hints on how to add sounds and modify sounds in Scratch.